right now I'm headed to my shed where I keep a bunch of my extra Mustang parts. I think I'm gonna go and grab the stock GT mirrors out of the shed because these need to get repainted. They have bug marks all on them and it's just bothering me. I like that I'm able to fold them inside the garage while I'm working on the other car, but I need to get those repainted. So I think I'm gonna go grab the other mirrors just to have them. Also, I did a little thing to the car. I wanna show you guys to see if you notice. I'll give you a hint if you haven't noticed by now. I ended up putting a lift kit into the back of the car, as you can see. It sits about 1.5 inches higher, maybe even 2 inches. Yeah, about 3-finger gap. So what I ended up doing was taking out the cut BMR springs that I had in the back, and I had found some used Eibach springs. I think they're the Eibach Sportline. And I put them into the back of the car because I just wanted to see how they would ride. And I'm actually really surprised at how high the Eibachs sit, because I figured the Eibachs would sit a lot lower than that. Let's head over to the shed, grab those mirrors, and then we'll jump into the video. Here's my storage unit with a shit ton of Mustang parts, but all I need to find is the mirrors. Honestly, a lot of this stuff I have for sale on Facebook Marketplace, so if anybody wants to look up my name, I'll put my name in the video right here. So I think these are the mirrors right here. Yep. I was leaving and then I noticed there's a Lincoln with some, I think they're the Adon brand wheels, if I'm saying that correctly, but kind of a sweet car. Wonder what he's got under the hood. Might have a Terminator swap. That'd be pretty sweet. So I found a pretty decent parking garage actually to film the car. I think I got it in a pretty good spot where the lighting looks good. Obviously the car is pretty filthy. You can see down there just how dirty the car is right now. So funny enough, the title of this video is the 5 things I hate about my car. And on the drive over here, the car literally died on me when I was coming down a hill going, I don't know, like 40, 30 miles an hour. I think I threw it into neutral and was going down the hill and the car just completely stalled out. Never has that ever happened before. And once I came to a stop, I just turned the key off, turned it back on, the car started up. What I think the reason is as to why that happened is because of the rear springs, because they're sitting a lot higher than they were. And I was coming down a hill that was angled forward, and I had a little bit over 1/4 of gas in the car. So I think what happened was that because the car was just angled so much that literally I don't know how else to say it, but the pumps got starved of gas and the car just completely died. So that was pretty crazy. That's never happened before. But I stopped at a gas station, filled it up. Seems to be good now. So anyways, we're gonna jump into the video and talk about the 5 things that I hate about this car. This car is a 2001 Bullitt. It is Cobra swap. So it has the Cobra engine that came in the Terminators with a Whipple supercharger in it, as well as the T56 transmission, built solid axle. And I'll actually pop the hood here in a second for anybody who hasn't seen the engine yet, but man, this car actually looks really dirty on camera. It's kind of bothering me. I should have cleaned it before I came over here, but oh well. I'll give it a wash later today. All right, so starting this off, the #1 thing that I hate about this car, and I can say this without hesitation, is the clutch. So this car has a spec clutch in it. I don't know if it's a stage 2, stage 3 or what, but it's pretty obvious that the car has been beat on. The clutch rattles a lot whenever you're going from a dead stop. You can throttle it just right and it'll make it a little bit better, but overall it is definitely needing a replacement. And in 4th, 5th, and 6th gear, the clutch is slipping. So I plan on putting a RXT clutch into this thing pretty soon, but I want to get the 26 spline input shaft, and so those are on back order, as everybody knows. This car actually could have a 26 spline input shaft already in it, and I don't know. So I kind of am at the point where I want to just pull the transmission out and see if it has one or not. I actually might even sell the transmission that's in this car, sell another T56 that I have that I got from a friend, and end up buying a T56 Magnum. I don't know yet, but that kind of seems like a good route to go, because in that way I would pretty much have a brand new transmission and it would already have a 26 spline input shaft. So yeah, that might end up happening. I might just go with a whole new transmission, whole new clutch setup. But every time I drive this car, it seriously sucks. I hate the clutch in it. And it's not even the fact that it's slipping or it's rattling, it's also heavy, and I just don't enjoy it at all. And from all the things that I've heard about the McLeod RXT, as far as the pedal feel and just the lightness of it, I am so ready to get that thing put into this car. But obviously things take time and money, and when it comes to fast cars, things are not cheap. Okay, so moving on to the second thing that I hate most about this car, and that would probably be the rear end. So whenever my brother first got this car, before I ended up buying it from him, we noticed that there was a slight rattle or clunking sound coming from the rear end. It might be a drive shaft U-joint. It's also possible that it could be like a loose caliper on this side. It kind of goes along with the clutch issue in the fact that the car, to me, was just not well maintained from the previous owner. Luckily, it was garage kept, and the paint is still pretty darn good. There's scratches and some dings here and there, but overall for original paint, it's really good. Previous owner obviously beat on the car. He had fun with it. There's some issues with it that he never figured out. I don't know why he didn't want to or whatever, but it just really sucks whenever you're trying to, like, let's just say right now, whenever I leave this parking lot, you just hear this rattling, clunking sound, and it sounds like it's coming from this side. This has been happening since we first got the car. So that really bothers me because it's definitely not subtle, and it feels like something might snap or break. But for now, it's just one of those things that really bothers me. So the third thing that I hate most about this car would probably have to be that it's black. Funny enough, my first car that I ever had was a 2001, I think it was the same year as the Bullitt. It was a 2001 V6, and it was black. And honestly, I loved that car. I wasn't too worried about keeping up with, the paint and making it look super nice, because I knew what it was. I knew that it was a V6. I knew that it was my first car. But with that being said, I obviously wasn't like washing it with dish soap or using like a beach towel to dry it. I mean, I still did the normal amount of cleaning to keep it looking nice and whatnot. But after learning about cars and getting into cars and understanding how to keep paint nice, it's crazy how much black really sucks. As much as I love it, it is pretty hard to keep up with. I mean, you can see just looking at it right now how dirty it is. The hood is actually vinyl wrapped, but the rest of the car is paint. If you can keep up with it, black is a really cool color, but I think I still enjoy a white car more than like a black car. All right, so the fourth thing that I hate about this car, I'm gonna pop the hood. The fourth thing that I hate most would have to be the fact that because this is a supercharged V8, the gas mileage is absolute shit. This is probably gonna be a pretty obvious one. All y'all are like, well, duh, what the hell? Gas mileage doesn't matter in a supercharged V8. Well, yeah, you're right. I don't mind it for the most part, but it just is one of those things that I would definitely not daily drive this car. And not only because the gas mileage is bad, but because, it's kind of a rare, cool, well-built car. It does kind of suck that every single time I drive this thing, I have to put gas in it. There's maybe once or twice where if I just go around the neighborhood or down the street or somewhere close that I don't have to. But if I plan on like driving this thing to like go eat lunch or go to the store or something, I don't know, that I'm doing, driving around the car for about half a day or a full day, even to like a car show, I gotta put gas in this thing. And it's definitely not easy on the wallet. So yeah, number 4 would definitely have to be gas mileage for me. And I have never really calculated what kind of gas mileage this thing gets. City, I would probably guess that it gets like 10 to 12. And then obviously that's if you're driving it normally, which half the time you don't. You like to have fun with the car and feel the power of the motor in the supercharger. So those MPGs can literally go to 1 to 2 if you're constantly driving around like a maniac. All right, so for the last thing that I hate about this car, and this one might actually be kind of funny for some of y'all, but you know, I can't help but think about this every time I drive the car or look at the car. So the last thing that I would say that I hate about this car is the fact that it's not an actual 0304 Cobra. The fact that it's a 01 Bullitt with a Cobra drivetrain, it's not that it's been totally modified to where I don't like it. It's just the fact that this will always be an 01 Bullitt. But whenever you end up driving the car, you're completely in a Terminator Cobra. I mean, even though the seats, the whole interior is still a Bullitt interior, it even has the Bullitt gauge cluster. I can't not think that I still want to get a true Terminator Cobra for myself. And me and my brother always kind of joke, like if I ever found a Cobra roller, I'd probably pull the motor out of this thing and put it into it. It would be a pretty extensive project, and it would be really, really hard for myself to put a 2-valve back into this thing, especially when all the wiring harnesses are from a 2003 Cobra. So, you know, I would have to find a complete 2-valve GT roller and transfer over everything into this car. And I don't know, it may or may not be worth it. And I sit here and I look at the car, and I don't mind the mixture of Bullitt and Cobra, but I can't help but think what the car would look like with Cobra side skirts and a Cobra rear bumper, maybe even a Cobra spoiler, and just go full Terminator body styling on this thing and make it look like a Terminator. And then it would look like one and feel like one whenever you drive it. So I don't know. It's just a couple things that are interesting. It definitely makes the car unique. It's a really, really cool car. I've seen other Terminator swapped Bullitts, and I always thought they were super awesome and badass. And honestly, they really were one of my dream cars. And it's pretty crazy that I have one now. But I just like the overall aesthetics of the Terminator. I love the Terminator side skirts. I love the Terminator spoiler and rear bumper and all that. And it's just hard for me to do that to this car when I know it's a Bullitt, if that makes sense. So I think that pretty much covers it for everything that I hate about this car. I don't think that there's really anything else that I hate about it. So for anybody else wondering about the 98 Cobra, it's still in the garage. I'm still kind of working on getting the motor ready to pull. I did end up getting an engine hoist as well as an engine stand, and those are both in the garage right now. For anybody wondering too what I'm gonna do about the back springs on the car, what I'm probably gonna end up doing is taking the iBox springs out. I'm gonna put the Steeda springs back into this car that it originally had, and then I'm gonna get either the Steeda adjustable lower control arms, or I'm gonna get the Maximum Motorsports lower adjustable control arms. I just remember whenever the Steeda springs were in this car, and it really, really rode amazing. I loved the Steeda springs, so I really wanna put those back into the car, but they sit just as high as the iBox. All right, so I think that's enough of me talking. I think I'm gonna end the video here. So definitely look out for next week's video. We're gonna get the motor out of the 98 Cobra, and we're going to inspect it, see if it's something that I can fix myself. If it seems like it's a little bit more damaged than I thought, then I'll probably end up sending it to a shop. I don't know, we'll just have to see. But definitely look out for next week's video where the motor will be coming out, and that'll just be one step closer to getting that thing running. So thank you guys for watching. Catch you on the next one.